Hello, and welcome to the Couples Expert Podcast. This is episode number 90. I'm Stuart Fensterheim, the Couples Expert. I am happy to welcome all of you today as we celebrate this fantastic season of the year. This podcast is my mission because you see, at the Couples Expert, we do a show every single week to really illustrate to all of you, the listener and my community, that the relationship you've always wanted to have with your partner is not only probable, but indeed possible. You and your partner can make your love story happen every single day. You can be more authentic, more connected, and more in love with each other than you've ever thought possible. And this podcast is designed to help you do that. So I want to thank all of you for joining me here every week, being part of my mission, and together, the two of us be able to really celebrate this time of year as a time of love and connection. And I want to talk a bit about this holiday season. I am sitting here outside my home in Scottsdale, Arizona, in a really chilly 49 degrees today. And I know some of you back east are saying, what the heck is he talking about? We're in the 20s or it's snowing. My sister-in-law who lives in Chicago just told us that they're having a pretty big storm. So I want to just welcome all of you, whatever the weather is where you are, whatever you're doing, that you join me every single week where we talk about the relationships in your life and how to make them special. This season, as all of you know, is a holiday season. And it is a special season for me in particular because my wife and I have an interfaith relationship. And what that means is that the two of us have been raised in different religions, and we chose to marry and have a family of our own and have our family be a family that celebrates religion as a commonality, a place where there's love and kindness and giving, and that's what's important. And today, what I'm going to be talking about is how to celebrate this time of year as an interfaith couple. So many couples have this challenge, and it really is a difficult time because as my wife being Catholic and me being Jewish, we are very sensitive to the importance of the difference in the traditions that the two of us have, and that we're wanting to raise our family and celebrate this time of year, really acknowledging the differences in the different religions. We celebrate Hanukkah, we celebrate the Christmas season, and if we were unable to really put that together, it would have made our relationship incredibly complicated, especially around the holidays. So what we decided to do was really acknowledge each other's traditions and culture. And what we've been able to do is to learn about and honor and truly respect each other's traditions. And of course, when it comes to family and family time, the kids absolutely felt like when we got together, they benefited. My children were raised Jewish. My ex-wife and I were both Jewish. So they were raised in a Jewish home initially. And then when my wife and I married, the kids at first were a little bit it was a little odd for them. But then they began to realize that what this allowed for them is the best of both worlds, both in terms of the gifts that they might receive from each other and also the traditions of both religions, because Judaism and Catholicism have a lot of differences, but truthfully, there's a lot of similarities, particularly when it comes to giving to others, helping out those in need, and really putting yourself forward as that one person in the world that really cares about those that are less fortunate, and have the two of you and your family really reaching out to help those in need. So this year, more than most, I'm really excited for the holidays because myself, my wife, and my children are able to celebrate this together. In past years, Hanukkah and Christmas were celebrated weeks apart, but over the last few years, and particularly this year, we can celebrate it together because Christmas Eve is the first night of Hanukkah. And at times, this can be difficult when it's separated. So we get to really be together. My wife's taken off, I've taken off, the kids are out of school, and as a family, we're able to really share this time of year with the love that we have for each other. One of the things I was thinking about is what has been some of the favorite things for me that we have done as an interfaith couple. And I want this podcast to be more about the couple than the family as a whole, because I think it is really a unique endeavor that you and your partner take this on as an interfaith couple and decide that you're going to give and be the best you can be in your own tradition. And one of the things that my wife and I has been able to do is really set aside those differences. So when it comes time for some of the traditions, to not let the traditions define who we are as people or what our religion represents to us. So by doing that, I've been able to experience some things of the last few years that I really had never been able to do before, such as Black Friday is really the beginning of the Christmas season for our family. And I talked around Thanksgiving time about that my wife goes on Black Friday and buys a lot of gifts, Christmas gifts, for the people in her parish, in her church, who are less fortunate, and they buy toys for the children that don't have the funds and the families don't have the funds. And she just feels terrific about that. And I've gone with her in that. And then the other thing that we always do right around Black Friday, and as a matter of fact, I talked about this too, my wife goes and buys poinsettias for everyone we know. And that includes my parents, who now are much more open and receptive to receiving these, her parents, and many gifts of poinsettias, because Home Depot does a special thing. They open up at 5 a.m. and they have poinsettias for 99 cents. And we usually buy 10 to 12 of them and give some as gifts and put some in our offices, our home, and she brings them to work as well. So that's one of the really fun things that we do. The other thing that's been a real joy for me is helping her pick out the Christmas tree. Because we do Christmas tree, and we also put up Hanukkah menorahs. We take down all of our mementos and all the symbols that we're going to put around the house, and we put up the Christmas and the Hanukkah decorations. And that really is a fun thing for the two of us. For me, though, it gets really sad sometimes when this time of year. And part of that is that when we start going out and do the shopping and start looking around for Christmas gifts, we go into the different stores. And what we find, and what I find, and this has been really sort of a struggle for me for most of my lifetime, is I walk into stores that have lots and lots of Christmas decorations, and I look and I don't see many things, and some stores don't have anything has to do to acknowledge Hanukkah. And it's really sad to say, because it almost is as if Christmas is the only holiday. And there are many people, including myself, and more importantly, my children, who over the years have walked into stores, and what's happened is people walk up to them and say, Merry Christmas, and it makes them very uncomfortable at times. As my children got older, they became a little bit more bold and would say, we don't celebrate Christmas, we celebrate Hanukkah. And that's always made me very proud that they stood up for what they believe in. It really has sent home to me the importance of honoring all religions, not just Christmas, not just Hanukkah, but Kwanzaa, and any religion that anyone out there celebrates. Your religion should be celebrated in your way, and our society, our world, need to really recognize that your religion isn't the only one. And what Christmas is really about, what this time of year is really about, is really helping everyone all around the world feel loved and honored and celebrated, and that the celebration is about giving to others and really being kind and generous to everyone. What my family has come to do is celebrate both religions in our home and get excited for both of our holidays. This now has allowed our family to blossom and has really made a difference for all of us in our family to really respect each other and to feel honored that each are celebrating the holiday together. My wife and I, what we tend to do is Christmas Eve, we celebrate it at my wife's home with my in-laws, as well as my sister-in-law and my nieces and nephews and my children. And Hanukkah, we tend to have a Hanukkah party at our home that tends to coincide at times with Christmas. So we go to my in-laws for Christmas Eve and we go to my home for Christmas Day, and typically Hanukkah occurs right around that same time period, so we do both. And my wife does a party at our house. Most years what happens is during Hanukkah, there's a celebration of 7 nights. So each night, the children get a small gift, and we do the bigger gifts where we're celebrating Christmas as well as Hanukkah. You know, when I was preparing for this, I was thinking of a couple of quotes that I know. And I really like this one quote. And whether you're celebrating Christmas or Hanukkah or a different celebration, it's really about the feelings of love and nostalgia. And Freya Stark says Christmas is not an external event at all, but a piece of one's home that one carries in one's heart. I really like that quote, and it really holds true whether you're celebrating Christmas or Hanukkah or both or a different religion. The feeling of love and nostalgia for how we grew up, the traditions that we celebrated with our families, that's what we carry forward from year to year. That becomes more and more meaningful when we share that with our partners, our loved ones, and then our children. For an interfaith quote, there's one that I really have come across that I really enjoy, which is by Reverend Tom Shulock. He's a Unitarian Universalist minister. And the quote goes like this: "Unity within diversity adds a richness and beauty to marriage and to life." Now think about that. That quote really says it for me, because in an interfaith marriage, two people who truly respect each other and are tolerant of each other's beliefs, that's what this world really needs. More of the acceptance of difference and finding the similarities within every religion, focusing on love, kindness, and giving to one another. It's just really a beautiful statement, if you ask me. Now, one of the things that I'm very aware of as a counselor is that this time of year, the holidays, are not necessarily happy memories for everybody. And sometimes there are people that really dread this time of year and can be a really rough time for you. If you're listening today to this podcast, what I hope you can come away with is something that I'll share that might be helpful or inspiring to really help you through this time of year and have you really feel the love that there is here for you. Or you can please join me here at this time of day, at this celebration, and come to a place where you don't feel so alone, and know that you are with those that join me here at this podcast to really understand your desire for closeness and a passion to feel attached with the ones you love. But not everyone has a family to spend the holidays with. And if that's your situation, I have a couple of suggestions for you that I would make. Generally, what I know, churches and synagogues and most places of worship offer functions for the holidays. I would go to one, attend a function at your local religious organization. The other thing you might want to think about is, what about volunteering at a soup kitchen or a local animal shelter? Really helping others is a great way to get into that spirit of giving for the holidays. And it also has an amazing transformation that it has always done for me, is when I'm starting to feel sad and feeling like my life isn't doing well, then I come across someone less fortunate than I, and that I could lend a helping hand to them, and it always turns my spirits around. The other thing you could do is really just say, okay, everyone's doing this celebration. What I'm going to do is grab onto the day and something like take a long walk and enjoy the streets in the neighborhood. One of the things that my wife and I always do when we walk our dog is we go around and look at the Christmas decorations and the Hanukkah decorations, and we always come up with some ideas. And last year we saw a bunch of people with these spotlights. So what we did this year is we have a spotlight this year to really have the colors of the time of year, the blues, the reds, the greens, and really some decorations that are just really cool, if you ask me. And it really has allowed us to feel good about the holidays. The other thing you might want to do is start a hobby or discover an old one that you haven't, rediscover an old one that you haven't done for a while. It's a great time to finish up all those projects that you've been working on. Take time off, even if you don't have family around or you're feeling a little blue. I think it's a good time to just give to yourself, finishing a project, working out, doing things. Taking a me vacation is a wonderful thing to do. I think it lightens your mood. Cook your favorite dinner. Make it for someone special or invite a friend over. Don't allow yourself to say, well, they've got their family in town, I don't want to get in the way. Extend those invitations to really be able to say, I would like you guys to come join me in my home because I want to share the holidays with you. The holidays also could be a time where you can really heal some old wounds. Maybe reach out to someone you haven't talked to in a while and really do some repair. It's a great opportunity to really be able to heal those pains from the past, to really allow yourself to let go of some of your anger and resentment and reach out and make some amends. Before we move on to the next topic, I want to, as we approach the end of the year, I want to talk about what I'm going to be doing next week. And next week on the Couples Expert podcast, I want to start thinking about 2017 and how to make next year a better year. Last year, I did something on New Year's resolutions. I'm not so sure I'm going to do that, but I want to talk about maybe setting realistic and meaningful goals that you can actually achieve. I think that's the problem with New Year's resolution. So many people make these commitments that are so outrageous, they're never going to accomplish it. And I want to help all of you feel successful, both in your own personal life as well as your relationship. And what I mean by personal life is your relationship with yourself, that you and your partner truly can feel that 2017 is going to be the best year the two of you have ever had. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So let's talk a little bit more about how interfaith couples can celebrate the holidays. Between November 1 and January 15, there are as many as 29 holiday observances by different religions. If you're in a relationship with someone who was raised with a different tradition than you were, This time really holds an opportunity to get close as a couple. This podcast addresses this topic and has been more common in recent years. In the past 10 years, it's been recorded that the instances of interfaith marriages are on the rise, with as many as 40% of couples having these different affiliations. There are support groups and interfaith schools all addressing this. While it's a tough challenge, it can also be a way to truly practice, as we talked about earlier, the ideals of love, compassion, and inclusion. I want to ask all of you a question. How much importance do you give to religious practices in your home? Many interfaith couples really talk about that the emphasis on teaching children religion is really one of the primary responsibilities that they see for themselves. And that the two of them really want to really have a family in which both religions are given the credit they deserve, and that the children are taught about both religions, and not one being more important than the other, and not discounting either one. What I believe is religious faith is a really deep personal thing. And as a good partner and husband, I respect that my wife has her own deeply held beliefs and would never, number one, ask her to change those. I know some couples, particularly men in the Jewish faith, that I have seen who turn to their partners or girlfriends and say they want them to convert. And a lot of that has to do with family pressure. And I think it's outrageous. I think that you love someone for who they are, and if you ask them to become something they're not, that's a real shame. I think conversion in couples should only occur if the person chooses that for themselves after being exposed to this religion, says, I want that for me. No one should say this would be good for you to do. During the holidays, we, at my home at least, share our traditions and we schedule time. One of the commitments that I made in my marriage was never, ever, ever to miss one Christmas Day Mass with my wife. Now, the reason that I made that commitment is I know how important that holiday is to her. And I also know that it's important for her that we share the holiday, and that her going to church by herself feels empty. And my presence there, holding her hand, sitting next to her, not participating with her necessarily, but just my being there is part of what brings us closer together, because she knows I'm doing that for her. And she does the same for me on major high holidays of the Jewish faith. Our families celebrate, as I said, both holidays. And I think the Hanukkah story has an incredible message. And I think sometimes a lot of people don't know about this story, and I want to share it. But more importantly, talk about, and I talked earlier about us celebrating family together, the knowledge that my Catholic nieces and nephews now have about Judaism, about the philosophy, has grown exponentially to a place where they now know more than they ever have. And when we first got together, one of the things I recall my wife saying and my nieces and nephews saying is that we were one of the few Jewish families they've ever met. So they've learned about world religions from our marriage. And it's pretty cool, actually. What the Hanukkah story is really about, it's about a miracle. It's a small group of Jews because of a miracle survived. And there's a really indefinable spiritual electric charge that binds generations together that can't be found in any book. It's only when you sit with your children and your grandchildren and you light the candles of the menorah and you talk about this miracle, that is an electric connection that occurs with parents, grandparents, and children, where they tell the story of the Hanukkah lights, celebrating, discussing it, and advertising this miracle. Experientially, getting in touch with the wonders of the past, the wonders of our present, and more importantly, the wonders of life and our future. Before I conclude this podcast, a thought just hit my head. I said when I opened up today that this is our 90th podcast. That's pretty amazing if you ask me, because when I first started this, I always been happy if I hit 10 or 20. I wasn't even sure I'd be able to do that. And, with a lot of television shows, when they hit 100 episodes on a TV sitcom, they usually bring out a big cake and celebrate. That's because you know that the show has been successful and, quite frankly, could be syndicated after 100 shows. I think as a podcast, we should do something pretty special for our 100th episode. So stay tuned for that, because I'm not sure what I'm going to come up with, but it's going to be pretty cool. I wanted to also remind everyone that in addition to these weekly podcasts, I have a YouTube channel, the Couples Expert YouTube channel, and you can find daily videos that I do called 3 Minutes with Stuart, and you can just hear me just in your morning giving you some tips and relationship advice through the week. So I want you to check out and please like and subscribe to it. The more people that can get the message, the better. I also wanted to alert everyone, as I think I've mentioned, that I have a couple of new staff. One that's been around for a little bit that I wanted to make sure that I brought your attention to, which is Alicia Kostov. Alicia has been around as one of the couple expert staff for, I think, almost 6 months now. And she is a couples and family counselor that's worked with military families and post-traumatic stress veterans, as well as some unique challenges that some immigrants face. And one of the things that she offers is a Christian perspective. She's our Christian counselor here at the Couples Expert. And she's also worked as a missionary in Bulgaria and speaks Bulgarian. For those of you who look for a counselor with a Christian background, Alicia offers a free 30-minute telephone consultation. So please reach out to her on the website, and you'll be happy to schedule something with you. The website, again, is www.thecouplesexperts.com. In closing, what I'd like to talk about is the winter holidays are such a busy, hectic time, and it can be so incredibly stressful. While we all love to shop, attending parties, giving and receiving gifts, we can get really caught up in that and lose the sight of the meaning behind the celebrations. The quiet time that you spend with your family, sharing in your religious observations, can be a real welcome time and a break from the commercialism of the holidays. Let this holiday season be a time of sharing, of meaning and love through your religious observance. Let the difference in your faiths bring you together with a new shared tradition that you can pass on to your future generations. Create these new traditions yourself Here are some 5 suggestions for making this family interfaith celebration for the holidays really wonderful. Number 1 is concentrate on what each of your religions have in common and what unites you, rather than how you're different. Allow the decisions that you two make and the celebrations that you create evolve with the growth and needs of your family. As the kids grow older, they can grasp more the complexities of the different traditions. And you want them to be participating in coming up with the traditions that the two of you are creating for your family. If you have a blended family, and we talked a little bit about that today, and the kids are new to these traditions, invite them to participate. I wouldn't force it. Don't force anyone to get involved with a religion that's not what they were raised with. Let them ease into it as it becomes more familiar. It may not ever happen, but what's important is the love that everyone has for one another and the respect and honoring of each other's religion. Remember something. Remember that it's more important that you live your religious values through the year and not what you do on the holiday. All religions are about kindness and giving. Be someone that does that not only this time of year, but every day of your life. And more importantly, being kind and gentle and giving to your partners, your family, your work associates, the people in your life that are meaningful to you, and reaching out to those in need that might need a helping hand. Do something as a family that supports both your tradition through the holidays, that demonstrate this spirit of love and giving. Volunteering really is an incredible experience, and I have found so much joy in that for myself. My wife and I have done a lot of volunteering through the years, whether it's to wrap presents, whether it's visiting a nursing home, feeding the homeless. Put value into the actions that demonstrate to each other and also to your children what it really means to do a mitzvah or to give to those in need and do something nice for the world. Whether you're Jewish, Christian, or whatever religion you come from, make it the spirit of the religion more important than one religion has a stronger belief than another. Religion is about love. And that's what this podcast really is about, is loving and being connected to one another. I really want to thank all of you for joining me on this podcast today. No matter what your religious faith is, this is the time for loved ones to come together in that spirit of love, joy, peace, and harmony, to celebrate one another, your family, no matter what the tradition is. Celebrate and share with them and be proud of who you are and what the two of you have created together within your family. Loving your family and your partner at Christmas and always. And for now, this is Stuart Fensterheim, the couples expert, in sort of sunny Scottsdale, because it's a little bit warmer right now, saying happy holidays, and please stay connected. Take care. Bye-bye.